This week on Carlie's Couch, we talk about aging parents and how to handle it as we start to get older with them.
Welcome to Carlie's Couch. Thank you for joining us today.
We are so excited to have you here.
As always. How you feeling, Carlie?
I am peaceful and I would say hopeful. I feel excited for the rest of the year. How
That's
are you?
good. You've been saying that for like the last 4 weeks.
That's how I've been feeling.
That's your word, peaceful?
Peaceful is I'm very peaceful and grounded. How about you?
I'm cool. I can't think of a whole lot of description right now, but I'm feeling okay. And we are gearing up towards the holidays now. And I can't believe that this year is about done, but
I feel like January lasts like 400 days, and then
it really does.
January is like this long, and then it slowly does this, and the very end of the year is like 2 seconds. It's like boop.
No, it really does. But I am excited too because I have plans to get away for next month for December.
I always gonna do
so
my
it'll
birthday.
be nice. Yeah, I think I leave on your birthday or the day before your birthday. So,
Good for you.
yeah, I'm out here. But it's because my dad's birthday is like a couple days after yours. So usually, since my dad's birthday is right before the holidays, it kind of like also makes money sense to travel a little bit earlier than Christmas time.
For sure.
And then get into seeing for his birthday and then doing all the other stuff.
Aw, I love that.
That's what we get to do. Yeah. Hopefully all of you all are doing well as well. Let's go through this question from the couch. You guys might want to...
I went crazy.
Yeah, y'all might want a notebook this time because the question was, what's the best book you've read this year? And so Carlie was sweet enough to... Not sweet, but, whatever.
Yeah, I am sweet. Don't get
sweet
it
enough
twisted.
to categorize them. So we got a bunch of responses, and she put them in categories, which is helpful because, people have a certain... type of genres that they like more than others, myself included. And I thought most of them looked like kind of like self-helpy, but apparently they're not. So let's just run through these different books and see if there's any you might want to pick up.
And if I messed up and put it in the wrong one, I was trying to do it real quick, so it might be. But we'll start off with the romance. So if you're a romance gal, guy, or person, we have The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, which is a great book. I say, yeah, that is a good one. Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow.
Good title.
Yeah, that's cool. And then another one is Before I Let Go by Kennedy Ryan.
On the fantasy side, we have Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros and A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J. Maas.
Which is a part of a set. And I have, Fourth Wing is next up on my read list, so I'll let y'all know if that's good. For horror and mystery, we have Old Country by Matt Query and The Partner by John Grisham.
Autobiographies and stories to inspire, Michelle Obama's The Light We Carry, Will, Woman Evolved by Sarah Jake Roberts, 101 Essays That Changed the Way You Think, Shoe Dog by Phil Knight, and Ricky, The Life of an American Original, Howard Bryant. Oh, and Remembered Rapture, Bell Hooks.
For general fiction, we have Anxious People and then Beartown are two separate novels, but both by Frederick Bachman. And then The Wager, A Tale of Shipwreck, Mutiny, and Murder by David Gran. I'm actually interested in that one just because of the title.
But are you sure? Well, you say you might not be sure because it looked like on the cover because Nicholas sent this and he sent like the cover of the book and it said something about like from the authors of Flowers of the Forbidden Moon, whatever that movie is, but that's from a real story.
Flowers of the Killer Moon.
So I wonder if this was from a real story too.
So it is. So good catch.
Like based off of something.
Yeah, it's based off of the British naval ship The Wager, which wrecked on a desolate island off the tip of South America in 1740.
Okay, but it's probably still like a fiction of it. I like a good historical fiction though.
Me too.
Business and Life, Incognito by Frank Wilderson, and Hidden Potential by Adam Grant.
And The Unsold Mindset by Colin
If
Coggins.
I scroll down, there's a few more.
And Garrett Brown.
Only the Paranoid Survive, Andrew Grove.
The Color of Money.
And The Big Leap by Hendrix. Okay, that's a lot of good books. Maybe I need to put this over on my list because I'm interested in the romance, fantasy, mystery, fiction ones.
Yeah.
Personally.
Yeah, so thank y'all for always participating. We appreciate it and giving us some good things to read. So this week's topic, I've been seeing a lot of discussions about how to deal with your parents getting older. I think it's something that as we get older starts to happen, and it happens to all of us, but it's not something that we're taught how to deal with. and it just feels like a lot and feels kind of heavy. And so I wanted to make sure that we actually spend some time talking about it. Like, it's just in my personal life. I've seen it on social media. I have some clients, like, renovating some spaces so their parents can move in, to an ADU in the back of their house, like different things. And I just feel like it's a weight that all of us kind of carry, like, not in a bad way, but it probably can become burdensome. But yeah, so we're going to talk about that today.
Yeah, and personally, I feel like it's not something that I have thought about very, very often. As far as, like you said, you have people who they are preparing, like in real life, preparing for like maybe parents move in and things of that nature. I haven't thought about it that much, but it is a little bit. I don't know what's a better word. Not necessarily sad, but like as parents age, it's one of those things where you're like watching them change in front of you. And of course, we're all watching ourselves change, but I think it's different when it's somebody else, when you're watching them get older, when you have the memories of, them at certain ages and you see that they just need maybe a little more help and or now that you're an adult, just even kind of dealing with them and their personality can get more difficult as they get older. And I think it is very interesting to even just think about like, dang, I'm about to be like 40, but there's still, other people who are like
so much life.
Yeah, that's crazy. So I think just everybody being adults is interesting in itself, and then to perhaps have to take care of them and or care for them, checking in and things of that nature. It is an additional thing to think about. So
Yeah, one of my friends, her mom got injured, and her mom's like in her 70s, and she got pushed down by a homeless person or an unhoused person, and who was kind of going through it, and that's mom right. got injured, and she was trying to have a conversation like, "Ma, I need you to be more careful," and her mom's like, "No, bro, like this is what I do every day. I walk around the neighborhood, I do these things," and I've just seen that my whole life. Like, I remember when my grandpa was getting older, and like my mom and all her sisters like thinking through, when asking him when he should retire and when he should stop driving and doing things. And so I think it can be really tough to be in the position, like kind of switch the caregiving position, like as they get older. And I don't think there's any right ways or wrong ways, but yeah, it can be kind of heavy, it feels.
But even with all of those things, right? Thinking about driving, thinking about the activities you typically do or don't have issue with, even, somebody coming into your home and being like, hey, do you need help cleaning out this fridge or throwing stuff out, old stuff out? Imagine, though, as the parent or a grandparent or whatever, but imagine as that parent also, like, the difficulty of having been independent for so long and or you being able to make decisions, to where now it feels like other people are having to take care of you. Like, most people don't even like feeling like a burden. You also don't want to feel like you need people to help you or tell you can't do anything. And I think that as an older person too, it probably sucks just to think about like and accept like, oh, I can't do. I don't know, maybe it shouldn't be can't, but like I have to be more aware with the things that I usually do. Especially when it comes to like falling and things like that, or being prone to somebody messing with you outside or whatever it might be, or being on the road. And I can imagine that that's so difficult already in that position. And then so to be an adult child, it's so different just because the roles are so reversed when they haven't been. But I guess it's necessary. That's kind of the circle of life.
Yeah, and that's really, I don't know why I wanted to talk about it because, like I said, it's something that we're all going through, and I'll see tweets like here and there about like having to do stuff or even Tisha Campbell, like her dad, I guess, had passed away.
He was wilding. Yeah.
Oh my God! And they found his porn stash, which is hilarious. But it is like, how can we do it in a way that honors our parents and the things that the difficult things that they're dealing with, like as they get older, and also make sure that they're still safe. Because I remember my grandpa passed not too long, or he had a life like altering stroke not too long after he retired, and they took his driver's license away from him. And so it's like, how can we ease that transition and just be mindful? Like there's so many responsibilities and things I think that start to come up around this time.
And let me ask you, what do you think that it's our responsibility to take care of our parents as they age?
That's a tough question because like part of me wants to say yes, but I don't know if I'm the right person for this to answer. I think within your bounds as much as you can, and if y'all have a good relationship, I don't think it's all children's responsibility to take care of their parents. Yeah,
just because it seems like it's so like everything on you. Maybe it seems like a little too much to say. Like, is it your responsibility?
Exactly. That's I'm like it's not that, and hopefully parents live their life in a way where they set up things that help them into old age. But I think the reality of it is that as they get older, a lot of us are going to realize that maybe they didn't. And also, we want to do an episode on estate planning because after my mom passed, it was a nightmare. And there's just so many things that we have to think about and go through. But like people don't want to have these conversations because they don't feel good, because it's difficult, because it sucks, because it is hard, because we do have to figure out, what are our boundaries? What do we feel responsible for, if anything? What do they want help with or not? Because they could be very difficult and not want any help.
I think that as an adult child, though, I feel like it's still maybe they don't. Maybe I shouldn't say I feel like it's their responsibility, but I'm sure my parents feel like it's their responsibility. Like if I were to be like, hey, I don't have anywhere to go right this second, or let's say if I had 0 cents or whatever, right? I know that my parents would feel responsible for at least, okay, well, let's get you to the house or, something, right? And in that sense, I think it's interesting, like why we may not feel exactly the same way. Maybe because, of course, you've always grown up being the one who is taken care of. But I think that I would like to be able to be responsible for my parents in the sense that I would love to feel comfortable knowing I have enough money to like take care of things if need be, or even without need be. I think that if we could, we would want to.
Oh, for sure.
And all of this also is on the foundation of you having a cordial relationship with your parents also, because we're not talking about, I understand there are some people who don't rock with their parents at all, and other issues that may be present. And so like taking those outliers out of it, if you have kind of just what might seem like a regular kind of relationship with your parents, I think that we look to be able to support them if we need to. I think that we think a little bit more about like their safety, take things a little more serious if they do have, health issues or concerns, making sure they took their pill, all those things, right? So I think that I would like to, and yet also I do see friends who are a little more responsible for their parents, but in a different way too, because it's not the aging, it's maybe more so around being parentified. So I think that that's probably a little different. And that's actually a whole other thing.
We'll have an episode on that.
Yeah, because, when aging parents it seems like a little more hands-on, but if you have parents where you feel like you've always kind of had to like make sure they're good, that seems a little more like money oriented and like being provider. But I think the goal would be to be able to do those things.
Yeah, and even with having difficult relationship with parents, like, my mom passed, but I still have my stepdad who I have a very, difficult and nuanced relationship with. And then my dad, also a very difficult and nuanced relationship with. And what's interesting is I don't really feel responsible for my dad, like my real dad.
He probably don't expect you to feel responsible.
But he don't expect me to do nothing. You know what I'm saying? But again, that's why we'll talk about.
A lot of people who don't do the most, they're like, their thing is like, yeah, but I also don't expect you to do the most. So like they feel like maybe it's even.
Yeah, but I will say, like, even spending time with him, which I was grateful I got some time to spend with him in Singapore this summer, it is different seeing him. This man used to wake up and run 3 miles a day, and watching him as he gets, on into his 60s, and he's not doing that, and he's taking naps and stuff all the time. And I'm like, oh, man, seeing him try to operate at the same levels as he was before is just, I don't know, it's kind of tough.
Yeah, it is. But also, like you said, you can't tell people what to do. And you especially can't tell older people what to do. And so what does it look like to be there for aging parents without being, like, overbearing or controlling or trying to, like, turn them? I don't want to turn into a parent, right? No, like, I already don't even want to be a parent, barely. So, like, I don't want to turn into a parent for my parents. Like, I've never been, like, the type to be like, no, you shouldn't be going there. You shouldn't be doing this. Like, I feel like they're going to do what they know they can do. And I do see other people do that to theirs. But yeah, I just never been like that. Even with my grandmother, like even super older, it's like I ain't gonna tell them what to do. But how can we support them?
Offer help, but only when they ask for it. So not pushing that on them. Like offer assistance when you have space and time or whatever. And then if they do need help, like seeing if you can help them get access to the resources that they need. If that's like in-home, caregiving, if it's someone to help them cook their meals or someone to come in and clean since they can't get down on their hands and knees and scrub the tub like they used to.
But that's so funny too, because even like my parents are so old school, like they don't be trusting nobody. So it's like if I wanted somebody to come clean the house, they would be like right behind their shoulders and acting like they gonna steal her. And it's like, y'all don't got nothing. Like that's one thing that blows me the most, I think, about having aging parents, is feeling like they're so scared. But I know it's like it's valid because the world is crazy, but also it's like, okay, we don't have to turn the alarm system on at 2 p.m. like and put like wood under every window and door. Like they don't even live in that kind of neighborhood. So it's like it's just a little extra. And I think that one thing that's sometimes frustrating is feeling like they may be stuck in ways or stuck in things when it's like you want them to think differently or have a different mindset. And that for sure is like the days are over for changing that, I think. But you have to have a lot of patience. So I think patience is the main key. It may even be similar to thinking about like gentle parenting, like how to even deal with your parents. I guess with everybody, gentle parenting should be probably used with everybody.
Yes.
Yeah, but being very, very patient, and then being able to recognize and communicate like what you want to communicate, whether it's asking them a clear question, asking if you can help with something, and then whatever they say, just respecting that and letting them know, hey, I'm here if you need it, right? Because I think that people tend to not want to need help, but then later on, they may come back around to it if it doesn't feel like it's a bother to you.
Mm-hmm. And then thinking about just having a balanced relationship with them, trying to spend as much time as you feel comfortable with and that you want with them. I heard a quote that parents spend 80% of their time with their kids that they'll ever spend with them from 0 to 18, which is about real. And then someone kind of put in another perspective too. If you only see your parents twice a year and they might live 10 more years, what is that, 20 more times that you get to see them? And I'm so glad I knew about that before my mom, because I made an extra effort to be able to see her more. And it's like, man, I'm so grateful for those times. So, not to scare or force people to doing things. Like I said, if you want to spend time and see them and do all that, like make sure that you're spending time.
Yeah, and that you do prioritize that, right? A lot of times it can be easy to say like, oh, I don't have it right now to go travel, or I got to focus on work or focus on other things. And we always talk about this, but like, at the end of everybody's life, it's always a matter of the relationships that were the most important. So if it is an important relationship, do be sure to, not let them frustrate you or not let it get to a point where you're just like, never mind altogether. I think another thing to do is in communication, that can even be via phone. I know some people, parents, text, email, do whatever, right? Everybody's different now. But if you have aging parents, just staying in communication with them, I think is important. Similar to like when you have kids as well, like making it so that they do feel comfortable telling you stuff. So like I'll fuss with my dad about health, because like he told us one time about some health scare he had, and he was like 4 years ago, and he's like, yeah, I just want to let you know, a few years ago. And I was like, what's the point of you telling me this right now? Like, why didn't you tell me this, when it was happening? Right. And he's like, well, I did talk to your brothers about da-da-da, last year. And I'm like, all right. I was like, bro, what's the whole history? Like, first of all, like, if y'all gonna be kind of secretive or whatever, like, we need to talk about the history more. And, I didn't have an attitude per se, but, like, it's just one of those things, like, in communicating, asking them questions and making the space for stuff that they might not say. In the same way, I don't be saying nothing to them neither about nothing for real. So, encouraging that both ways to just at least have dialogue that makes it easier for communication if it's needed, if that makes sense. Like,
yeah, brave space, like where it's not judgment or pushback, but like creating space for them to say things. But that's also hard, right? Because if we talk about people being stuck in their ways and not really talking about things, sometimes that might involve asking what seem like intrusive questions or things. But I think that it's important to really start having those dialogues to make sure that we're all open and on the same page. And in that same vein is choosing our battles wisely. If we only have I think we should probably adopt that in life in general, like choosing battles wisely. Like maybe not fighting with them about something that happened 4 years ago, but trying to create space and ask questions so we can have better conversations these days.
And another thing too is like being okay, being accommodating. So I know with aging parents, sometimes they don't want to travel as much, and sometimes it might come across like being stuck in their way or whatever. But really, it might be that they're scared because the airports now. Sometimes to me, I'm like, this is overwhelming. Like, what's happening? Like they keep changing the TSA and like it's like, do I take my laptop out? What's that Drewski skit? Yeah. Like that shit. Well, I was like, listen, man, they be yelling at you and I think about that too. And sometimes I'll see older people like in TSA and it's like, you could tell it's just like, what is happening? And, they need a little help. And it's like, oh, do I need to take this off? Do I need to do this? And and that's how it feels. Or if you ever had an older person be like your Uber driver or, seeing somebody in the store and it's like, I forgot what I was even starting this with. Oh, and so it feels like people might be kind of stuck in their ways, but imagine like on their side too, some of it is scary. Like, yeah, like scared to get on this plane and travel to here or there or do whatever, right? And so be accommodating and less judgmental because maybe you need to help make the space for them or go to them and then like let's go here or whatever you might need to do or maybe they never come to see you like that, but think about it that way because I think about that often. Like when you really see older people driving whatever, right, it's like you really got to have that extra grace and understanding of like, man, they've seen a lot of years and a lot of life and things have been changing so much too.
So fast. Everything changes so fast. And I was thinking about that patience because like we are the generation who, saw the big shift in technology and, went from having those brick cell phones to having, a mini computer in our hands. And a lot of them like got left behind. And so, just patience with even I always see people complaining about trying to help their grandma or their mama set up like they Roku or Fire Stick or whatever.
Yeah, my parents still call me every time there's something going on or like, how do I get my music off iTunes? And I'm like, I don't even know. Yeah. For real, like half the time I'm like, I don't really know what to do with that because I don't use that no more. But you do what you can do. And if the listeners, if you all are dealing with aging parents, interested in hearing like your stories or ways that you're able to, I don't want to say cope with it, but like ways that it may be affecting you. Ways that you're able to kind of be there and help that relationship. I think sometimes there's a big opportunity when everybody's adults to have almost a closer relationship than when you were a kid because of that, little difference in kind of authority there as you've gotten older yourself. So bear with it. Bear with them. That's, I guess, the majority of what I would say to it.
Yeah, sounds like curiosity, patience, and, having open communication. So hit us this week at Carlie's Couch and let us know how that's going.
Peace out.
Bye, y'all.